So we are witnesses throughout the world to a significant time of change. And something that is powering all this change is something that we use every day. And I'm not talking about your mobile phone. I'm talking about something that's been around for millennia. I'm talking about money. Through building trust in a more connected global community, we are going to see something happen for the very first time in human history. Money will become invisible. You know, everybody knows that money is something powerful. But if you think about it, money is not really a thing at all. It isn't a coin. It isn't a bill. It is not a plastic card. Saying money is a thing is kind of like saying music is an 8-track, which unfortunately is something I do remember. Maybe some of you will as well. But money is a system, and it sets the rules of how money moves around the world and how we exchange value with each other. And when money changes, quite simply, the world changes. We are entered into a new era. We call it the people economy. We are exiting a time when banks and institutions govern how money moves around the world and how people connect economically to each other. Every day we are seeing examples of people taking control of their own destiny. People are crowdsourcing to invest in their own ideas and their friends' ideas. The things and the skills and our belongings that we are seeing exchange in this new sharing economy is going to unlock $300 billion of revenue in the next decade. But the real power is our ability to give. People are finding more simpler and more interesting and more impactful ways to give than ever before. To illustrate this, I want to tell a story. This is Irene. In 2013, Typhoon Haiyan battered down her house, and it left her and her 6 children living under a plastic sheet. People from 162 countries around the world raised $23 million in relief funds, just a mere 30 days after the storm. With relief aid, Irene was given a cash grant to start her own business, a coconut business. This allowed her to rebuild her home and to support her child's education. You know, whether it's cause or commerce, we are embarking on a world where a payment is so simple, it's so intuitive, it is so trusted, that it's going to become an invisible event in the background of a transaction. And with these systems of trust in place, the payment becomes passive. I mean, you merely need to acknowledge you want something in order to buy it. An acknowledgement may be as simple as a hand gesture or a voice command. By removing the pain point of payment itself, it is getting easier and easier for each of us to buy or to sell or to donate or to lend or to fundraise with whether it's the neighbor across the street or the stranger on the other side of the world. But there is a dark side to everything. And in money's case, we all know it is greed. And people want to steal it. And clearly that can make for the exchange of goods incredibly difficult. Over the past number of years, all artificial and frustrating barriers have been put into place in order to prevent theft and fraud. In Russia and India and other emerging markets, cash on delivery is still the standard, and people need to pay in person to ensure exchange. Here in Germany, paying your bill requires each payment to be secured with a TAN, a transaction authorization number. But when money is hard to get to, it slows society down, and it stars off opportunity. We believe that the way to solve this dilemma lies in identity, being able to prove you are who you say you are, and to trust that you will pay your debt. You know, our need to trust when it comes to money is not new. What is new is the way in which we build trust by authenticating and protecting our identity. And we believe we are in this world, and the world is embarking on what we call trust innovation. We have become accustomed to authenticating our identity by hard-to-remember passwords, cryptic numbers, numbers that we hope don't fall into the wrong hands, and numbers that we hope we can't write down. But are these numbers a really good way to define you? Whether it's a 16-digit number, an ID card, an IBAN, a CVV number? The answer is no. Because if you think about it, what's more relevant to you is your mobile phone, your daily routine, your typical shopping patterns. More unique to you is your heartbeat and your bioidentity. My team works with engineers and designers and security experts around the world to solve the dilemma of how we can make money easier to access and safer. Over the last 15 years, we've been developing algorithms and machine intelligence, working with new ways and risk models and data, whether it's inclusive of variables of your digital footprint, your location, your ID. And the risk detection models that we're using are going to make it easier, not only to issue a payment and to transact, but to do business. You know, these algorithms combine a whole host of factors: location, what you've done in the past, where you may be going, and your fingerprint. And we can now incorporate factors that allow for thousands of variables versus the 10 to 20 in traditional risk models. And these models were only a mere 2 or 3 years ago. And the fact is if these models detect that something may be wrong, we can now use technology to reach out to you real time to ensure that the transaction takes place or to take action if fraud is found. For these models to be as intelligent and dynamic as human behavior evolves, it does require an element of human intuition that stands behind the technology. And combining advanced data processing with human oversight is how your money is going to the right people and being kept out of the hands of the wrong. So every payment tells a human story. It shows intent. Let me give you an example. Take an account opened up in Indiana, being accessed by someone in Iraq, sending money to a merchant in Germany. In the middle of this transaction, a request is made to change the shipping address, to send the item to New York. See, on the surface, this may seem suspicious, yeah? But when you deconstruct this problem, you reveal the story behind the payment. And you find that the algorithms and the data that's happening behind the scenes of every moment in life that we live are able to keep up with the complex lifestyles that we have. And we have found better ways. And I would love to tell you what the story is of what happened with this transaction. This is a soldier in Iraq who opened up his account 5 years ago when at Indiana University. His family lives in New York City, and he's sending a gift home for the holidays for his child. The net we have created to prevent theft and fraud is so intelligent that it permits the good transactions from going through without any of you ever being aware of the sophisticated analysis that's occurring. This has allowed us to send commerce into countries and regions that are known for their higher criminal risk and fraud. Countries that have been left out of our global economy because they've been typecast as being less trustworthy than others. We have helped to democratize money, making money available to 203 markets around the world. We are removing the global, the cultural, and the economical barriers that are keeping our economies apart. And while doing this, we're also giving all of you more control through building trust. payments today is a one-size-fits-all solution. Because payments in the future will be so uniquely tied to your identity, your payment experience will be as unique as you are. You know, technology doesn't change the world. We all know that people do. In a world where trust is now established in seconds and not years, we can see absolutely profound results. In fact, in the wake of natural disasters and man-made catastrophes like war and terrorism, hundreds and thousands and sometimes millions of people need aid. You know, the time that it takes to identify those in need and the time that it takes to identify what they want to survive and what they need is delayed and can have devastating results. Let me share with you a story that I think brings us to life. And I'll bring back Irene from earlier. Imagine this. A disaster occurs. Aid victims can go to the aid station to scan their fingerprint to identify who they are. By confirming her identity, her profile will be shared, and the profiles of her children will be shared to ensure that she gets settled as soon as possible. The sizes will be shared so that as people collect goods and toys and clothing around the world, her daughter's new jeans fits and her son's school books and favorite book will be replaced. Her profile will be connected to her medical records so that her son's severe diabetes will be alerted to the nearest pharmacy. The pharmacy will purchase it, fill the prescription, and then they will actually send it to her location. Social networks will allow her and her family to be placed in a home in a matter of days or hours, and not weeks and not months. And the fact is this all began with a touch of a fingerprint, a technology that exists today. Establishing trusted financial connections around the world, we are taking a revolutionary leap into a whole new world of give and take. This means massive global opportunity. This year alone, we extended our services to 10 new countries, as I mentioned. And that's giving 80 million more people greater access to their funds and their money, which means greater access to economic opportunity. You know, I, for one, am incredibly excited about what this means for my sons and the generations that will follow us. They will have opportunities to transact with people in all corners of the world, where different languages are spoken, different cultures are practiced, and different currencies are used. And yet, once these differences are no longer barriers, the opportunities and the possibilities from these exchanges will be absolutely unlimited. Thank you.